Elena Vance was the reason I was still breathing, which explains why I spent 3 years trailing after her like a lost puppy. It wasn't until she had burned through every single variety of boyfriend available, the genuinely sweet guys, the jagged bad boys, and the emotionally unavailable hipstra, that she finally grew exhausted with the dating game. Only then, at her birthday party, did she reluctantly turn her gaze toward me in front of everyone and speak. "You want to date me?" she asked, looking bored. "I'll give you one shot. Limited time offer." The room exploded with noise. People on all sides were nudging me, urging me to say yes immediately. But staring at that detached, indifferent expression on her face for the first time in years, I didn't feel the rush I expected. I just felt incredibly tired. I held up my phone, my voice flat. "No thanks. I actually just started seeing someone else." Elena's recent string of boyfriends had all been the high-intensity, passionate types. So, when her latest ex, Marcus, whom she had dumped without a second thought, barged into the private lounge and slammed a frosted cake right into her face, nobody was truly shocked. Most people just laughed. "Damn, Elena," someone chuckled. "Marcus is built like a linebacker, and he's easily one of the hottest guys you've had. Why did you drop him so fast?" They weren't wrong. Marcus was the captain of the university basketball team, stood 6'1", and had never lacked for attention since his freshman year. But Elena was, after all, the undisputed queen of the campus social scene. For her, dating was never a complicated arithmetic. It was just a game. She smirked, wiping sticky frosting from her cheek with a wet nap. "No real reason," she said. "Date enough of them, and they all start to feel exactly the same." She said it so casually. Some of the crowd cheered her attitude, while others looked visibly jealous. "Elena, stop the humble bragging," a girl called out. "If I could land a guy of that caliber, I'd treat him like royalty." Well, Elena's face gave her the social capital to act however she wanted. I sat in the corner silently, listening to her friends discuss these boys using crude, objectifying language. I had met most of the guys they were talking about. Some were innocent, some were straightforward, some were cool and distant. Without exception, they were all objectively handsome. "So, Elena, if you're bored with the hot guys, why not give our boy Liam a shot?" Suddenly, a heavy arm draped familiarly over my shoulder. I looked sideways. It was Todd, a guy who constantly hovered around this social circle. He claimed to be Elena's male best friend, but everyone knew exactly what he wanted. They just didn't say it out loud. He wasn't usually friendly to me. He would act close on the surface but constantly dig at me with backhanded compliments. I shrugged him off, feeling uncomfortable. "Let go, Todd, and stop joking. Like that." "What do you mean, Liam? I'm trying to set you up with Elena out of the kindness of my heart, and you're ungrateful." "Ugh, whatever," someone muttered. "Let's ignore him. Total buzzkill." Amidst the sneers of agreement, I gripped the seam of my jeans, wanting desperately to leave Elena's birthday party. But I was stopped by her mesmerizing, sharp eyes. She was looking at me coldly. I waited for her to distance herself from me as usual, maybe throw in a few insults for good measure just to change the subject. Only this time, the chill in her eyes didn't spread. Instead, it was replaced by a hint of amusement. She tapped her fingernails lightly against the rim of her wineglass. Her voice was low and raspy. "Liam Caldwell, you want to date?" The room went silent instantly. I froze. I crumpled the hem of my shirt in my fist. Whoa, what had gotten into Elena today? Why was she taking Todd's joke seriously? Maybe she was just tired of steak and lobster and wanted some plain oatmeal for a change. People started jeering again. "Liam, say yes already. You've been following Elena for 3 years. Your time has finally come. You must be thrilled. You'd better treat us to dinner. We've watched you suffer through the friend zone for this moment." The strange thing was, my heart tightened slightly, but aside from a vague sense of unease, I felt absolutely nothing. Usually, Elena ignored me. She rarely brought me up on her own. I was like a transparent figure standing behind her, or at most, a punchline for her friends. Right now, I looked at the scar on her brow bone, now faded after cosmetic surgery. She got that scar saving me from the fire. If she was being sincere right now, I thought I would probably say yes. "Elena, you..." But she didn't let me finish. She picked up a wine bottle, swirled it nonchalantly, and cut me off. "Just this once. Offer expires soon." The air conditioning vents above blew cold air onto my back, chilling me to the bone. What did that mean? With that arrogant look, she returned to her condescending posture and downed the liquid in her glass. "It means I'm free right now, so I can entertain dating you for a bit. But if I meet someone else I like, we're done." As her words fell, someone nearby couldn't help but snicker. I curled my lips in a self-deprecating smile. "Liam Caldwell, you are still too naive. Naive enough to think she might have actually changed or developed feelings." I took a deep breath, not wanting to look at her playful, mocking gaze anymore. So I turned my head, and I saw the gift I had spent 8 months preparing, sitting in the darkest corner of the room. There was a dirty footprint on the sapphire blue wrapping paper. Marcus must have stepped on it by accident when he stormed in earlier. It looked as pathetic as I felt right now. The gift was a binder of sheet music. It was the final, unpublished composition of Elena's favorite pianist, Alexander. Only fragments existed online. The full score was incredibly hard to find. It took me 8 months to finally track it down through an international student who was willing to part with it. Elena's scar deepened a bit. She often frowned like that. In the past, when she ignored me, I would stare at that scar, and the image of that summer afternoon, the sky filled with fire, would fill my mind. When the memory ended, I would forget all my grievances. But today, the fire didn't appear, and I couldn't swallow my grievances. Just as Elena's patience was reaching its limit, I stood up, walked over to the pile of gifts, picked up the sheet music, and wiped off the jarring footprint. "No thanks, Elena. I forgot to mention, I agreed to date someone else yesterday, so I won't need you to give me a chance." Silence. Amidst the collective gasp of the room, I walked out. Actually, I lied. I wasn't dating anyone. I was used to being alone. I didn't have many close friends, let alone a girlfriend. The only person I contacted online besides my parents was the international student who sold me the sheet music. I opened her chat window. 5 minutes ago, she had sent me a photo of her piano practice. There was a latte sitting on the piano cover, accompanied by a simple caption: "Tasty." I unconsciously smiled, sent back a thumbs-up emoji, and shoved my phone back in my pocket. It started to drizzle outside. Mist blurred the surroundings, obscuring the streetlights. I could only make out their glow flickering like flames. The fact that Elena saved me had been on the San Francisco local news. The cause of the fire wasn't complex. Faulty wiring in the art studio exploded, instantly igniting the stacks of paper. Within seconds, the flames reached the doorframe, making escape nearly impossible. The thick smoke choked me, blinding me and stealing my strength instantly. I was lying on the floor in despair. I didn't even have time for my life to flash before my eyes. I just lamented my bad luck. But just a second. Before I lost consciousness, I saw a girl in a white shirt covering her nose and mouth. With a powerful kick of her long legs, she knocked down the burning door beam. Her smoke-reddened eyes locked onto me. She supported my weak body and dragged me out of the fire. The fear and joy of surviving slowly surfaced. I raised a trembling hand and brushed the burned skin on her brow bone. I choked out, "Thank you." The moment I saw her face clearly, I recognized her as the school celebrity, Elena Vance. She was too beautiful. She was constantly on the campus confession boards and forums. Even a loner like me knew that face. After that, we were interviewed by the Fire Safety News segment. My parents flew back from overseas to thank Elena personally. I started unconsciously following her. Feelings I couldn't quite define spread through my heart. She didn't dislike me then. She treated me as a friend, coming to the newly built studio to watch me paint, reminding me when paint got on my pants. "Your landscapes are so beautiful," she said. I paused my brush. I turned back to look. Those clear eyes reflected my quickly lowered head. I rubbed my ears, trying to pretend the redness was from friction, not my heartbeat. To Elena, it was just a casual compliment. After saying it, she looked down and went back to playing games on her phone. But I thought I liked her. So uncontrollably, I wanted to find a chance to confess. Ideally, I would paint something from the heart and give it to her. After much thought, I painted the scene that had appeared in my dreams countless times. It was Elena holding me, rushing out of the fire. The corner of her white shirt was lifted by the wind, glowing red from the flames, the edges burnt to ash. I spent a long time thinking about composition and color. But one afternoon, just as I was about to finish, Elena was hanging out in the studio with me as usual. When she moved her legs, she accidentally knocked my sketchbook out of the desk cubby. The painting fell to the floor. Elena raised an eyebrow, bent down, picked it up, and looked at it for a long time. I thought her silence meant she was touched. Who knew? The girl finally let out a cold laugh. "Liam, this is the ugliest thing you've ever drawn. Why?" Those eyes, which used to look at me gently, instantly lost their light. Only indifference remained. The sentence she left me with was hard for me to understand at the time. "Turns out you're no different from those other guys." Before I could react, Elena grabbed her jacket and left the studio. From early spring to late autumn, she didn't come back. I realized the reason much later. Because of her looks, Elena had been pursued by too many boys since childhood. My clumsy feelings, no matter how I tried to hide them, were obvious to her the moment a corner was revealed. And Elena hated that. After that, she went through many boyfriends. I could only watch her silently from behind everyone else. I became more and more silent. Day 1, without Elena. Todd's post on his social feed was probably meant for me to see. I had just finished showering. My fingertips were still warm. Whoa, didn't expect Todd to pick up the rebound. Todd is this happy picking up Liam's leftovers? Don't be jealous. Elena was just teasing him. If she's going to date anyone, it's obviously me. She said so herself. I picked up a towel and dried my wet hair. Elena had once casually mentioned my buzz cut looked sharp, so I'd kept it. Thinking about it now, I should grow it out. Change my style. My gaze fell on the photo of Elena and Todd. The lighting was dim, so I couldn't see the distance between them clearly. But the girl's eyes were indifferent. Beneath the perfunctory smile, there was a sense of loss. I swiped right. A photo of their hands intertwined came into view. A red dot appeared in the corner of my screen. I opened it. It was a message from Todd. "Liam, you don't blame me, right?" Actually, I should thank you. I didn't know what he had to thank me for. He used to mock me for following Elena around like a stray dog you couldn't kick away. But later, I figured it out. Aside from liking Elena, it was mostly gratitude. Following her meant there were times I could be useful. I wanted to repay that debt bit by bit, but to openly become her plaything during a transition period? I wasn't willing to degrade myself like that. You're welcome. After replying generously, I sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, took out my tea set, and prepared to brew a pot of black tea to warm up. Outside the window, the rain was getting heavier. My phone lit up again. It was the international student with the ID, early summer. I'm coming back to the States. Want to meet up? Sure, but I should ask first. What is your name? Clara Lynn. She was a woman with incredible class. That was my first thought when I met Clara Lynn. She wore a sharply tailored beige trench coat over a matching silk shirt that highlighted her elegant neck. Her presence was gentle, yet carried a hint of coolness. Coincidentally, the Western restaurant Clara took me to was one my parents used to take me to all the time. We chatted easily, from ancient and modern painters and musicians to whether pasta or instant noodles tasted better. We touched on it all. Clara put down her spoon, her defined profile turning toward the window. It was already autumn in San Francisco. If I adjust well to being back, I plan to settle down here. Then you are my first friend back in the country. I nodded, wondering how an adult should enthusiastically respond to such a polite gesture. I gripped the handle of my cup, and under her gentle smile, came up blank. I could only respond dryly. My honor. Clara was a somewhat famous pianist abroad. She had held several recitals. Originally, not many people back here knew her, but in recent years, as many foreign pianists came to tour, she gradually became known. I had looked this up online after learning her name that night. Clara seemed to notice my social awkwardness. She crossed her hands, shifted direction, and steered the conversation back to history and art. As the night deepened, she glanced at her watch and offered to drive me home. I nodded and grabbed my coat. But the next scene, as I turned around, two familiar figures walked into the restaurant entrance. Elena, we've been together for days, and you finally brought me somewhere nice to eat. Todd was clinging affectionately to Elena's arm. They walked in side by side. The piano music in my ears seemed to stop instantly. All I saw was Elena looking at me, her eyes filled with surprise and resentment. I subconsciously took a step back. Liam, you're here too? Todd's expression was unnatural, especially after seeing Clara. Shock at her beauty quickly turned back to disdain. He walked up, looking us up and down. Where'd you hook up with this woman? Looks okay, but her taste must be terrible. I had seen enough of Todd's rudeness. He was always like this with Elena's boyfriends. The weaker ones would swallow their anger, and the tougher ones, well, Todd didn't dare provoke them openly. None of your business, I responded, wanting Todd to stay out of it, but I didn't deny my relationship with Clara. Hey, beautiful, you probably don't know, right? Before Liam got with you, he chased my girlfriend for over 3 years. Just a friendly warning about this kind of guy. Don't get too attached. Just have fun with him. As Todd said this, he gripped Elena's arm tighter. Elena, however, turned her head to scan the restaurant decor, staying silent. As usual, when guys fought over her, Elena looked impatient, as if she were above it all. Usually she'd say something like, "Are you done yet?" to express her annoyance. Hearing this advice, Clara smiled politely, but her eyes were full of ice. She helped me secure my backpack and looked down at Todd. Thank you. But from what I'm hearing, it seems the person with bad taste isn't me, but the one standing next to you. What do you mean? Elena reacted to the sarcasm in Clara's words faster than Todd did. She was tall, about the same height as Clara. But in terms of presence, she lacked Clara's calm composure. Her tone betrayed that she was rattled. No hidden meaning. I just hope your boyfriend can learn basic respect. Or perhaps as his girlfriend, you could teach by example. We have things to do. Excuse us. With that, Clara shot them a cold glance. She took my hand and walked out of the restaurant. Sitting in Clara's car, the atmosphere was a bit awkward. The high-minded conversation from earlier had crashed back to earth. I felt embarrassed that she had to see me being berated by others. You really seem a bit slow when it comes to social interactions. She rolled down the window, her gaze falling on the passing crowd. Sorry. I couldn't explain why. It seemed I had been indifferent to interpersonal relationships since I was a child. Rather than following my parents to banquets to network, I preferred staying in my room reading and painting. Later, when my parents expanded their business empire and moved overseas, I refused to go with them, preferring to stay here alone. Usually only Uncle Zhang, our driver, looked after me. Nothing to apologize for. I just feel you should learn to protect yourself, even with the most basic language. Yeah, I'll work on it. Good. I hope next time I can see you protecting yourself. Clara didn't say anything more. I knew her intentions were kind rather than critical. Otherwise, she wouldn't have stood up for me. She dropped me off at my apartment complex. There was a winding river nearby. Coincidentally, the flat Clara's friends had rented was in the same complex. I have a dinner party later. You go on up. She got out of the car. Leaning her slender frame against the door, she watched me leave. After saying goodbye, I felt the chill of the river wind sneak into my cuffs, making me shiver. I put my hand in my pocket and felt my phone vibrate. I checked it. It was Todd. Liam, bring your girlfriend and have dinner with the gang. We've known each other 3 years. You wouldn't deny us this face, right? This was Elena's idea, by the way. My finger hovered over the screen, my steps slowing. Elena probably felt slighted and wanted to find an opportunity to get back at Clara. She was always arrogant and came from a wealthy family, so she naturally felt everyone should cater to her. I remembered one of her exes, Sam, a handsome, poetic guy, but his family was poor and he had student loans. After Elena broke up with him, he got together with his childhood sweetheart, Jenna, who had waited for him for years. Jenna was ambitious and had secured an offer from a major tech company on her own merit. But because Elena saw her and Sam together, she used her connections to have Jenna's job offer rescinded. Honestly, I despised Elena's actions. But the weight of the debt I owed her made me feel I couldn't openly criticize her. I had to ask my parents to quietly find a suitable position for Jenna in one of our domestic branches. And I replied, blandly, did she think her suggestions were royal decrees? Why emphasize it was her idea? Besides, I needed to prepare for my first art exhibition in San Francisco, so I really didn't have time. You've got an attitude now. What, is your girlfriend rich or something? Richer than Elena's family? I furrowed my brows. I didn't know if Clara was rich, but the Vance family certainly wasn't as wealthy as mine. But I had never been willing to show that off, so the people around us didn't know. I hesitated about whether to clarify my relationship with Clara. Although she didn't seem to mind earlier, just in case I upset a new friend, I opened Clara's chat and asked, do I need to clarify our relationship? A moment later she replied, do you need me to be a shield? Yes. After all, my excuse for leaving Elena's party that night was that I had a new girlfriend. So honestly speaking, I did. Then it's fine. Okay, thank you. I remembered Clara's suggestion today. It seemed I could use Todd right now to practice. So I went back to the chat with Todd. What is her family worth anyway? Does Elena's family count as rich in your eyes? He didn't say anything else. I put the phone back in my pocket and went upstairs, not bothering to think if that was too aggressive. The studio was full of paintings I had prepared for the exhibition. I stood before them. After thinking for a moment, I took down Firelight and Flower. I didn't plan to show them anymore, because those two were related to Elena. Firelight was a stylized version of her saving me from the fire, and Flower was an image of her holding a flower stem in her mouth. Now, which backup piece to choose? The winter fjord I painted last year was decent. It could be a backup. And the other one? I was struggling to decide, pondered for a while, but the phone on the table buzzed several times. I opened it. It was the group chat Elena had made. A lot of people were tagging me. "Master Caldwell, Venmo me $50, let us see the world." I frowned. This message had been spammed about 30 times. Yeah, show us what real money looks like. Why were they asking this? I scrolled up. Todd had posted our chat history in the group. Elena saw it. She replied with a LOL. I sneered internally. I could understand the others not knowing my family's situation, but Elena acting like this was pure posturing. After all, when she wanted VIP tickets for a popular rapper and couldn't get them through anyone else, I was the one who pulled strings to send them to her. She had stood coldly at the school gate, thanked me, her eyes unreadable. But after that, she became even more fond of flaunting her family's wealth in front of others. Todd chimed in again. "Liam Caldwell, are you hiding because you can't cough up the cash? Don't pretend to be a young master if you're broke. It's hilarious." Exactly. If you said your family had a little money, maybe someone would believe you. But claiming to be richer than Elena? Who'd believe that? I actually hated proving myself. It made it look like I cared. But when they pushed it this far, the urge to get real naturally arose. In the past, out of respect for Elena, I tolerated her friends. Now I felt the saying, "birds of a feather flock together," was incredibly accurate. I walked to the parking garage and took photos of the two cars in my family's spots. I wasn't a car nut, but I knew one was my 18th birthday gift from my parents, worth about $1.2 million. The other was bought last year, driven occasionally by Uncle Zhang, worth around $500K. After posting these two photos in the group, it went quiet instantly. "License plates are visible. Feel free to look them up." About half an hour later, a guy spoke up. "Holy shit. Liam really is a young master. He's the only son of Caldwell Corp. Both cars are in his name. Wait, Caldwell Corp? That's definitely way above Elena's family, right? I remember on the San Francisco top 100 companies list, Caldwell Corp was top 10. The Vance family didn't even make the list." "It's over. I want to hug Master Caldwell's thigh now. Liam bro, we were blind before. Don't mind the harsh words. Hey, is Caldwell Corp hiring graduates? Can I get an internship?" I sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, calmly watching their faces change virtually. It was as if they weren't the same people who had mocked me for 3 years while I followed Elena. The flattery went on for a long time. Elena and Todd stayed silent. Only at the very end did Todd say something sour. "Probably just a kept boy raised by the Caldwell family pretending to be the son. Otherwise, why wouldn't the son go overseas? I saw the Caldwell couple are abroad recently." Whatever Todd said, everyone would agree with, mostly out of respect for Elena. But now someone finally couldn't hold back. "Did you get your head stuck in a door? How can you say that? Liam holds 20% of Caldwell Corp's shares. Who gives a kept boy 20% of the shares? I don't know why Elena is with an idiot like you. It's embarrassing. Yeah, you're licking up someone Liam discarded like she's a treasure. Hilarious." I smiled, speechless. The pack of foolish dogs Elena kept would turn and bite their own master when convenient. But knowing Todd, he couldn't swallow this. "What are you barking at? Elena chose to be with me. Liam chased her for so long and got nothing. That's because Elena saved Liam's life. Did she save yours? You're simping for free, you loser." The one arguing with Todd was Elena's best friend, Dave. Seeing this, Todd exploded. He sent over a dozen 60-second voice notes. Listening to a snippet, they were all vicious insults involving mothers. Finally, after half an hour, Todd quieted down. He thought Dave was scared because he hadn't replied, so he arrogantly shouted, "Don't mess with me, got it? You can't handle me." Unexpectedly, Dave posted a photo in the group. I raised an eyebrow. Looking closely, it was Dave and Todd lying together on white sheets. Everyone knew exactly what they had done. This was like a depth charge. The group exploded into chaos. "Holy crap. Todd, you really don't discriminate. LMAO. Elena, did you just get cheated on? Wow, Dave, you're a legend. You slept with Todd behind our backs? You really aren't picky, huh?" I initially felt entertained, but now I felt physically nauseous. It was just a bunch of villains tearing each other apart. Some were sycophants, others jealous and crumbling. It was truly toxic. I simply left the group chat. I didn't want to watch them argue anymore. Because I still couldn't choose the final painting, I decided to paint another autumn landscape for the exhibit. After classes, I loved staying in the studio until dusk. The scenery outside the window was beautiful. Seeing the students passing under the sycamore trees always gave me fresh inspiration. That day, I was mixing paints in the studio, just about to start. But I noticed a figure pacing outside the door, disturbing my peace of mind. So I opened the door to check. It was Elena, wearing a white shirt, standing in the hallway backlit by the sun. 2.5 years later. This was the first time she had returned to the studio. I pulled down my sleeves and looked down at Elena. "What is it?" Her expression was calm. Her tone still had that upward inflection at the end, but it carried a tremor. "I didn't sleep with Todd." I frowned slightly, not understanding why she came specifically to explain this to me. "There is no and?" "Okay, goodbye." The fact that Elena played around was something I knew all too well. When she dated guys in the past, she often stayed out overnight or brought them back to her villa. As slow as I was about romance, I knew she wasn't exactly conservative. I didn't know why she was in such a hurry to clear her name now. Looking at Elena's surprised and disappointed expression, I continued. "Also, if you don't have anything important, stop hanging around the studio. It disturbs me." "Liam, what? You've changed." I looked at her, puzzled. "Changed how?" "You weren't this mean and selfish before." She twitched the corner of her mouth, her eyes dark. I took a deep breath. I finally had zero tolerance for her habit of blaming everyone else and never reflecting on herself. So I let my voice turn cold. "That's because I've finally had enough of you. Elena, do you actually have any good qualities? You're pretty because of your parents' genes. The money you have isn't earned by you. Aren't those your biggest merits? Personality-wise, you're awful and arrogant. You don't respect anyone. You only hang out with people who kiss your ass. Every day is just posturing. What else is there? If you hadn't saved me, I wouldn't have tolerated you for this long." I didn't speak fast, but every word was clear. She stood there stunned, like someone whose crown had been smashed off her head. Her eyes flashed with anger and disbelief, but in the end, she was speechless. "So, Liam, I saved you, and this is how you repay me? I truly regret saving you." She choked out the words, but then her pupils trembled as if realizing she had said something she shouldn't have. In the silence, I felt no bitterness or sadness, just a deep exhalation. Relief. My last shred of patience for Elena ended right there. 3 years ago, the Vance family suddenly got a huge order from a San Francisco factory. Do you remember? You didn't think the higher-ups actually noticed a small family business like yours, did you? That was my parents pulling strings to repay the debt. You guys multiplied your net worth with that. You made a lot of money these past years. Elena, saving a life carries a heavy weight, but the moment you tried to gaslight me and said you regretted it, you really lost the plot. After all, if the Caldwell family could give the Vance family those resources, taking them back would be even easier. I kept in touch with Clara constantly. She was a great friend, sharing funny stories about her time back in the country, like finally switching her language system back so she didn't blurt out awkward phrases, or how her scale showed a huge change. She gained 5 pounds in 2 weeks, which was a huge blow for someone who strictly managed her figure. Oh, right. I'm going to your university to interact with some piano graduates recently. Want to grab dinner afterwards? Sure, my treat, I replied. These days, listening to Clara's advice, I started interacting more with my classmates. I also started communicating with the younger generation in my parents' social circle. Before long, many people planned to attend my first exhibition. Although I still preferred solitude, occasionally I found a different kind of joy in communicating with others. The autumn landscape was finished. Once the pieces were finalized, I handed them to the curator to arrange the venue. That day, having nothing to do, I sat in the back of the auditorium, watching Clara guide the graduates in their playing. Maybe preparing for the exhibition was too exhausting, but I accidentally fell asleep against the chair. In my daze, I heard arguing. I rubbed my eyes. I'm used to playing this measure this way. Can you stop talking? I don't care what you are. I play how I want. I saw Clara instructing Elena, but Elena seemed very resistant to Clara's coaching. She slammed her fist onto the keys and stood up. That was a Steinway grand piano bought by the school. Hey, Elena, what are you doing? Throwing a tantrum at school now? The head of the music department shook his head. After speaking, he immediately apologized to Clara. Clara, however, kept looking at the sheet music without looking up, saying simply, I've always been fair. If you want me to be a judge for the graduation recital, I will only evaluate based on my standards. Of course, of course. Please don't mind the students' rudeness. Clara nodded. She looked easygoing, but I thought she wouldn't let Elena off that easily. Liam, check the school forum. A classmate I'd gotten close with recently sent me this message. In a private room at a restaurant, I sat in the corner feeling uneasy. After hesitating, I opened the forum. The top discussion thread read in bold letters, Art major Liam Caldwell wrecked my relationship with Elena Vance. Todd had taken a photo from somewhere. It was the evening Elena came to find me in the hallway outside the studio. His relationship with Elena had been high profile from the start, even making it onto the forum before. I heard that after Dave leaked their bed photo that night, Elena dumped him. I thought Todd would stay quiet for a while, but I didn't expect him to come after me. Everyone knows Elena and I have been together for half a month. Our relationship was great. We went from bros to lovers. Who knew Liam Caldwell, in order to steal Elena from me, would use the fire from years ago to play the victim, threatening suicide to force Elena to break up with me? Now he's succeeded, but he won't leave me alone. He insults me repeatedly, bragging about his relationship with Elena. I can't take it anymore. Please help me, guys. Below were several screenshots of chat logs between me and Todd. You could tell at a glance they were photoshopped. So facing that post, I wasn't panicked. The comments below were mixed. Initially, they leaned toward Todd. No way. Who is this guy? Threatening suicide is insane. I know these two. Aren't they the people from the school fire 3 years ago? He barely survived and he values his life so little? Elena shouldn't have saved him. Feels like this guy's love for Elena is pathological, scary. But Todd had a mediocre reputation to begin with. Aside from those comments, most people were observing. Even before I produced the Photoshop evidence, one of Elena's ex-boyfriends came out to speak for me. When I was dating Elena, Todd, you were constantly acting like the male bestie and flirting with her. I heard Liam was actually the one who didn't want you picking up his scraps. Don't start a thread with one pic and make up the rest. Upvoted. I was friends with Elena too. Every time Todd went out, he was practically hanging off Elena. He never respected boundaries regardless of whether she had a boyfriend. And now he has the nerve to call someone else a homewrecker? That's rich. He posted a photo below. It was in a dimly lit setting with a disheveled Todd lying on Elena's lap. Public opinion started to shift, and the proof that the logs were faked was ready quickly. After uploading it, I left only one sentence. Every rumor you made up about me will happen to you. Perhaps because I had experienced the edge of death, I was extremely offended by his rumor that I used suicide as a threat. That was my red line. From that moment, I decided I wouldn't let Todd off easy. I contacted Attorney Shu and requested to sue Todd. I also told my parents about this, asking for him to be blacklisted from the industry. Todd was easy to deal with. He was a nobody, only capable of stirring up small waves within the school. But I wondered if someone was using this opportunity to target Caldwell Corp intentionally. Late at night, a topic suddenly trended on the local San Francisco search list. Grant Corp ungrateful. Caldwell Corp crushes Vance family business, forgetting the debt of saving their son. Seeing this, my back went cold. It was just after Elena came to find me that day. I mentioned it to my parents on a video call, and as a family, we decided to terminate our assistance to the Vance family. After all, the debt was paid. Supporting them to their current position was more than generous. Who knew that simply stopping the preferential treatment in business would be labeled as ungrateful? In an instant, Caldwell Corp's stock price plummeted. My parents flew back to the country overnight to handle the PR crisis. Finding evidence wasn't difficult. It's just that many details in business couldn't be brought into the open. But I didn't need to worry. My parents built their empire from scratch. They didn't get where they are by luck. So they hired people to photograph Elena's father and his indiscretions over the years. They also exposed the scandal of him abandoning an illegitimate child in the countryside to die. Besides that, anonymous insiders revealed that after Elena saved the Caldwell family's only son, she used the incident to morally blackmail the Caldwell family, demanding all of the company's cooperation resources. The Caldwell family, eager to repay the kindness, agreed, leading to the Vance family's glory in recent years. Basically, a full counterattack. The Vance family's reputation was ruined, and the Caldwell family's reputation recovered significantly. My parents originally planned to return abroad after handling it. But learning that my exhibition was opening soon, they decided to stay a while longer. That day, I was busy arranging the exhibit hall for a long time. When I walked out, it was already dark. I saw Clara's car parked at the entrance. She seemed to be waiting for me. I waved, and she rolled down the window, a gentle smile on her lips. "Going home? I'll drive you." I nodded. "Why the sudden pickup?" "Oh, nothing. I just wanted to apologize to you." "For what?" I raised an eyebrow in confusion. I couldn't think of anything Clara had done wrong to me. "Last week at Elena's graduation recital, I gave a poor evaluation. It seems she didn't get enough credits. I thought she held a grudge against me and you and retaliated against the Caldwell family. So that was it." I sighed in relief and smiled back. "Nothing to apologize for. You graded according to your standards. If Elena played poorly, she deserved it. Besides, our family's issues are pretty much resolved. Hearing this, she relaxed. That's good. Clara turned on the navigation. Want to get a late-night snack? My treat. No, I've been too tired these past 2 days. Rejecting me without mercy, huh? I smiled. You taught me this. Learn to say no. All right. Back at my apartment complex, I bought a bottle of oolong tea from the convenience store, planning to go home, shower, and continue organizing exhibition materials. But when I passed the bushes near the entrance, I saw a figure waiting there. Looking closely, it was Elena. I hadn't seen her for a few days. There were dark circles under her beautiful eyes, and her lips were pale and chapped. Liam! I glanced at her, pretended not to see her, and stepped sideways to avoid her, but she wouldn't let me go, blocking my path. Just a few minutes. Let me talk to you. I rubbed my forehead. Seeing the stubborn look in her eyes, I knew if I didn't let her finish tonight, she wouldn't leave me alone. What is it? I didn't do it. Liam, that was my parents. They were desperate and hired someone to do it. Who did it didn't really matter to my family. The Vances were all birds of a feather. Their collapse was inevitable. Also, I'm very sorry for what I said that day. She grabbed my wrist tightly. Red marks appeared on my skin instantly. I tried to shake her off in pain. Elena remained unmoved until she saw I was hurting, then panicked and let go. Which part? That I never regretted saving you. I know you did a lot for me over these 3 years. I shouldn't have humiliated you at the birthday party. I'm sorry. The thing with Todd was me being confused. Is that it? Elena's eyes turned red with obsession. I seriously suspected that failing to graduate and her family facing bankruptcy had driven her to a mental breakdown. Looking closely, there was a bruise on her cheek. It looked like someone had hit her. And Liam, I want to ask, why did you stop liking me all of a sudden? Was my mistake really that unforgivable? If I change, can you give me another chance? Hearing this, I scoffed coldly. I looked down into her eyes and said firmly, I should say, I never really liked you. Elena, for me it was always gratitude outweighing affection. I confused the two before. How can that be? Elena stood there in disbelief, her eyes filled only with confusion. I checked the time. I was exhausted. Can I go now? Wait, Liam, just one last sentence. Then can you, for the sake of me saving your life, help my family? We have a cash flow problem right now. My dad says we might not make it. There's no one else around who can help, so please. This was the first time I had seen Elena act so humble. She was always so proud. Even a month ago, she probably never imagined she would see this day. But aside from feeling she brought it on herself, I felt nothing. Elena, you finally stated your purpose. Hard work on the long setup. But I suggest you find my parents. They are still in the country. Maybe if you and your dad beg them, there might be a turning point. After all, I don't have that much money on me, right? As the words fell, Elena's fingers lost strength and let go. Facing my indirect refusal, her expression turned desperate, her eyes growing empty. They had probably already begged my parents and realized exactly how ruthless my parents could be. I gave Elena one last look and turned to leave. The day the art exhibition officially opened, many people came. Besides my parents' industry friends, there were Clara's friends and the fair-weather friends from Elena's circle. To suck up to me, they spilled a lot of tea about Todd and Elena's current situation. I heard Todd is in jail for spreading rumors, probably looking at a few months. Wow, totally ruined. He was always talking about taking the civil service exam. Who told him to mess with Liam? He asked for it. Elena isn't doing any better. The Vance family declared bankruptcy yesterday. Apparently, when funds were tight, they borrowed money from the wrong people. They could have held on a bit longer, but now they're done for. Massive debt. Liam, bro, doesn't that feel satisfying? I swept a cold glance over them. I ignored them. I turned to my parents and said, if they try to intern at Caldwell Corp, Mom, Dad absolutely do not agree. You got it, son. That evening, the exhibition ended successfully. I looked up as the clouds parted, revealing the soft light of the setting sun. My heart suddenly felt lighter. Clara and my friends were standing not far outside the gallery, waiting to celebrate with me. Surrounded by laughter and joy, I felt a warmth. It felt like, finally, I had walked out of that fire,